Their Thanksgiving dinner gone down the drain.
We'll be having some table talk. I'm going to be pulling out the oven.
We're checking back in with a family whose NYCHA nightmare is never ending. I'm Jessica Easthope. Their story's next.
Also ahead, from this to this. Destroyed during Hurricane Ida, the Adoration Chapel at St. Mary's Winfield making a triumphant return. Changes ahead. The pro-life mass celebrated during the March for Life event in Washington, D.C. is changing focus. We have details.
They're working to try to pull together a very large gathering.
Bishop Robert Brennan revealing big plans for the Diocese of Brooklyn's part in the Eucharistic Revival campaign. And it's back, a closer look at the sights and sounds of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Looking forward to cooking dinner for the holiday, turning into Thanksgiving heartbreak for one family. I'm Christine Persichetti. It's bad enough that NYCHA residents of one building in Flushing haven't had gas service for months, but knowing that a home-cooked Thanksgiving dinner may have to be canceled adds insult to injury. Currents News' Jessica Easthope has the update to the story.
She's another one. My mother can cook.
The memories captured in these pictures are going to have to last.
We're going to cut this up, we're going to put some butter on it.
Because this year, there will be no Thanksgiving for James Proctor and Vanessa Sumter.
I'm hurt. My last minute is up. You know, like there's nothing going to be done. And I'm giving up on it. But as we see, we don't have any gas.
The couple hasn't been able to cook a meal in their home for more than 6 months.
That's rusted.
It's taken NYCHA that long to repair a leak in the main gas line in their building at the Bland houses in downtown Flushing.
Tanisha and Michelle, I love them. These are my babies right here.
The holidays are already an emotional time for their family. They lost 2 daughters in 2020.
It would be so much laughter, you know, at this time of the year. Even without them here, we still can enjoy it just by having that and remembering those times that we had, you know, all because we don't have gas.
NYCHA told the 80 apartments affected by the outage they would have gas service restored by Thursday. But now, a day before the holiday, James and Vanessa are done holding out hope.
It's not like, okay, we got gas and we can run out to the supermarkets and they got everything we need. This is last minute.
And they say they can't even uphold their faith by helping others who have less.
Normally, when we do cook, not only do we cook for our family, but we provide people in the building with food too, where we used to depend on each other. You know, that's gone. It's just that. It's over.
A homemade Thanksgiving is out the window. This is our table talk for this year. That's what I'm going to be having.
James and Vanessa say NYCHA took away more than just their gas. It ripped their favorite holiday out from under them.
Well, we're going to see it, but probably on television, someone else enjoying it. We are not going to get to enjoy it this year.
If gas is not restored within the next day, the couple plans to spend their Thanksgiving volunteering at their church's food pantry. In Flushing, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
And this just in from NYCHA. They have alerted us that 17 sites have had their gas restored, including the Bland houses where Jessica reported from. More than 80 volunteers and staff also distributed around 9,000 meals to the residents who are still without gas ahead of Thanksgiving. Just in time for the Christmas season, a Queens parish has rededicated a place of prayer into a perpetual adoration chapel. The space at St. Mary's Winfield Parish in Woodside will be open 24/7, 365 days a year. The chapel and the parish's lower church were flooded by Hurricane Ida. The chapel has been fully renovated and last Saturday was dedicated in honor of the Feast of Christ the King. Approximately 200 parishioners have already signed up to pray throughout the night. Answering the prayers of those in need, DeSales Media Group, the communications and technology arm of the Diocese of Brooklyn, partnered with the NYPD and Hunts Point Food Cooperative, the world's largest food distribution center, to give out 100 turkeys to those in need. New York's finest then got to work handing out the holiday staples, stopping in downtown Brooklyn, Chinatown, and Corona, and even 2 Catholic churches in the diocese.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
God bless.
CCBQ has also been fighting hunger this holiday season. So far, the organization has helped more than 3,000 families in need. They've handed out turkeys and all the trimmings, determined to make sure that inflation doesn't ruin Thanksgiving. Overall, the ingredients for a traditional Thanksgiving meal will cost shoppers nearly 14% more this year. You too can keep up the season of giving thanks to a beloved tradition at the Tablet newspaper. The Bright Christmas Fund's mission is to raise money for parishes and Catholic ministries in hopes of ensuring a Merry Christmas for children and families in need in the Diocese of Brooklyn. The staff at the Tablet is hoping to top their total from last year of $117,000 and raise $125,000 this year. The need is great this year for families fighting inflation, but you can help. Here's how. You can make a check out to the Bright Christmas Fund and mail it to Bright Christmas LB number 2118, P.O. Box 95,000, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the zip code 19195. Or you can make your donation online at thetablet.org/brightchristmas. And don't worry if you missed it. We'll give out this information again at the end of this newscast. Record inflation isn't expected to keep people away from buying up gifts this year. Retailers are actually expecting to break records. Currents News' Andy Madison has a closer look at how shopping centers and business owners are gearing up for Black Friday.
Holiday cheer reaching historic levels. According to the National Retail Federation, an estimated 166.3 million people are planning to shop from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday. That's almost 8 million more than last year.
Today's shopper is very savvy when it comes to shopping around and finding what works best for them.
South Coast Plaza in Orange County, California is ready. The shopping center expects to break records this year in terms of foot traffic and spending. Executive Director of Marketing Deborah Gunn Downing says that's despite inflation, growing recession fears, and soaring interest rates on credit cards.
We're seeing people overcoming that because they want to do something special this season. We're forecasting a really strong finish to the year, so we will achieve over $2 billion in sales this year, a record.
The NRF says some Americans will likely cut back on other things. They're being more strategic when it comes to hunting for deals and comparing prices. But they still want to get into the holiday spirit after missing out during the pandemic.
They may be dipping into some savings. We know that some households were able to build up a fair amount of savings during the pandemic or through some of the stimulus programs that were in place.
Meanwhile, small business owners like Allison Ash say this is a critical weekend for her store, The Wrapper, and says shoppers are buying early and still shopping local.
Even if there's a recession, people want to make it happy, and they want to do whatever they can to, make sure their family has a good time.
Andy Madison, Currents News.
People hitting the road for Thanksgiving are getting a break in gas prices. The national average of gas dropped 11 cents over the last week and it is now $3.33 per gallon. But even at that price, that's still the highest in 22 years. AAA reports that 49 million Americans are expected to drive to their destinations this Thanksgiving. Plans are moving along for the annual March for Life in Washington, D.C., but this year there are some changes for the Mass that's held before the march. Since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade last June, the Archdiocese has decided to cancel its huge youth rally and Mass for Life at the Capital One Arena, and instead there will be a smaller youth Mass at the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle. Now that the legality of abortion is up to individual states, many dioceses are turning their attention to local March for Life events. However, the annual rally at the National Mall will go on as usual. Let There Be Light, a Catholic high school in New Jersey, has officially gone solar. Immaculata High School in the Diocese of Metuchen is now powered by the sun. After a prayer and a blessing, the 1,228 solar panels on its roof was switched on yesterday. It's a project that was inspired by Pope Francis, who in his 2015 encyclical Laudato Si emphasized the role Catholics play in maintaining the health of our earth. In the Diocese of Brooklyn, Bishop Robert Brennan sending out a Thanksgiving message to the faithful.
We think of the ways that the Lord has blessed us. No matter what's going on in our lives, we can always see the hand of the Lord sustaining us and blessing us. Indeed, it's good to give thanks to the Lord, but that sense of thanks can also inspire us, again, no matter what the circumstances of our lives, to bring the joy of the Lord to others around us.
Bishop Brennan recorded the message at Holy Innocents Church in Brooklyn, where he helped Catholic Charities this week hand out turkeys and all the fixings to those in need. There's a lot more ahead with Bishop Brennan. He gives us an update on the National Eucharistic Revival Campaign and the big plans Brooklyn has in the works.
With recipes like these, Michael Edmonds is spicing up the lives of the Brothers of the Sacred Heart. I'm Jessica Easthope. His story and culinary secrets are up next.
Christmas cheer is hitting the stage. We'll take a listen to and find out about this year's Trans-Siberian Orchestra a bit later. From the fall of Roe v. Wade to the rise of a nationwide campaign about the presence of Christ in the Eucharist, it's been a newsworthy year for the United States Catholic Church, and bishops from coast to coast got to discuss it all during their meetings in Baltimore. Currents News' Jessica Easthope spoke to Bishop Robert Brennan about the conference. In part 2 of her interview, she began by asking the bishop how the church has decided to move forward in a post-Roe country.
The good news of the Dobbs decision takes the debate about abortion back to the states so that the people can actually talk about it. What are the reasonable limits that can be put on even now? And in some states, those conversations are happening even now. Some of the reality is, though, we still have a long way to go in terms of the conversion of hearts and minds. I said that at the time of the decision, and I would say that even more strongly today. We put a lot of our efforts into serving, to working to provide other legislation that provides for the decision to have life. You know, things like childcare provisions in the law, things like giving women the opportunity to continue their education or to continue their career. And unfortunately, in a couple of the state ballot initiatives, some were ballots to try to protect human life that failed. Others were, they would use the word codify Roe v. Wade, but really are very extreme positions about providing for abortion right up until the moment of birth and those paths. So that's where we need to say, wow, we've got a lot of work still to do to build that culture of life and to bring that sense of unity into the public square.
And the Eucharistic Revival Campaign, it's something we cover here often on Currents News. Bishop Andrew Cousins gave an update saying the campaign has excellent momentum. How's it going in the Diocese of Brooklyn?
It's going quite well. In fact, I spoke with Father Gibino. He's been working with the committee here, and they're working. In fact, I think they have a meeting this week where they're working to try to pull together a very large gathering here in Brooklyn. This would happen to take place in Brooklyn for all the people of Brooklyn and Queens, trying to make it a place that's accessible, but that also can hold a lot of people. We're looking at a big celebration. We're doing things more locally. We're going to begin, the information will be coming out soon about what we call the 40 Days of Adoration during the season of Lent, having churches designated as pilgrimage spots so that people in the area could make that a special dedicated day for adoration and prayer, and also that people from other parts of the diocese could visit other churches in this time of preparation. I'm going to be counting on Currents on our social media too during this time to be reporting so that everybody can take part in this pilgrimage in one way or another, whether it be by visiting the churches themselves or hearing the reflections and the experiences of those who are able to go.
And finally, Bishop, I wanted to ask you about your new podcast. It's not so new anymore. You have 20 episodes under your belt. What have you learned from becoming a podcaster?
I'm always grateful for the opportunity to speak on currents, and that's probably right now at least the wider audience. That's the best way to speak to a large swath of people here in Queens and in Brooklyn. What a podcast allows, though, is sort of a longer, more thoughtful discussion. So that rather than just a basic interview, just allows for a deeper look into particular topics.
That was the Bishop of Brooklyn, Robert Brennan. You could see the first half of his interview on our website, currentsny.tv. You can also read all about the meetings in this week's edition of The Tablet, and the paper is diving into a big event in history. An interactive experience in Manhattan looks into the 1,500 lives lost during the sinking of the Titanic, highlighting big New York names like Isidore Straus, the co-owner of Macy's, to some lesser-known people, such as Father Thomas Biles. The Catholic priest was on the ocean liner so he could officiate his brother's wedding in Cobble Hill. You can read more about Father Biles and the ill-fated message he gave just hours before the ship sank. The paper is also honoring a dancer for the stars in honor of Black Catholic History Month. Frances Rhymes has rubbed elbows with Frank Sinatra, Alvin Ailey, and Michael Jackson. But even though she's danced under the bright lights of Broadway, she says she still prefers the holy glow of church candles. To read these fascinating stories of people of faith, just pick up the paper at your local church this weekend. You can get future papers sent straight to you by subscribing online at thetablet.org.
And now, a chef in the kitchen and a man of faith.
This is the fun part of my faith.
Now he's combining the two.
It comes from my heart.
And serving the church.
Michael Edmonds was once one of New York City's youngest executive chefs and a private chef, cooking for the likes of Vera Wang, Calvin Klein, Chris Rock, and Princess Margaret, to name a few. But now he cooks for the Brothers of the Sacred Heart. Currents News' Jessica Easthope has his story.
Julia Child always says, when in doubt, add butter.
You can acquire a lot of secret ingredients over 40 years as a professional chef. Michael Edmonds says his favorite one is no longer a secret. His faith is part of every meal he makes.
My faith is very, very strong. If anything, this is the fun part of my faith because this gives me the opportunity to give back.
Michael's owned his own restaurant, cooked for celebrities and royalty. But these days, he finds himself in a very different kind of kitchen.
This fabulous life, what are you doing here? This is part 2 of that fabulous life to me. Brothers!
Now he cooks full-time for the Brothers of the Sacred Heart at St. Stanislaus Kostka Church in Maspeth, where he's worked for 5 years.
It's nothing fancy. They live simply. It's very easy to take a chicken breast and make it into something spectacular. You see, you eat with your eyes before you eat with your mouth.
Michael can barely remember all the big names he's cooked for, but technique he can never forget. He whips up meals on a modest budget. He says that's when his training kicks in. And the brothers seem to love it. But more than that, they love Michael.
Michael, first of all, is a tremendous person. I know he's a great cook, a good chef, but over and above that, he's just a good person to be around.
And when he's at the stove, he's at home.
Food is my expression, because to me, food is love.
And serving something greater than himself.
They just never stop. They're always doing for someone. And then come 5 o'clock, they sit down and they have a meal. I want that to be the best meal that they have.
It's a world away from the meticulous menus at the fast-paced Michelin star kitchens Michael was once used to. But just like a perfect recipe, he's found life is all about balance.
Expressing myself and great reviews. I've done all that. I've had all that. It's not personal, but this is just right.
Michael's going to continue to think up new and exciting ways to feed the brothers, and in the meantime, like all professional chefs, he's looking forward to eating someone else's food on Thanksgiving. In Maspeth, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
What a great story. Still to come on Currents News, the Tablet is counting on you to help brighten Christmas for less fortunate children and families across the Diocese of Brooklyn. How to send in your donation to the Bright Christmas Fund ahead. Sights and sounds of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra are sure to get you in the Christmas spirit. Find out how to get tickets. The The sounds of the season are kicking into high gear. The Trans-Siberian Orchestra has launched a massive concert tour for the Christmas season. Rick Damigella reports on the show and new music out now.
Seeing a performance of Trans-Siberian Orchestra has become a Christmas tradition for many. The group's new tour, The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, The Best of TSO and More, is taking the show to dozens of cities during the holidays.
It was written by Paul O'Neill back in the late 90s, and it became kind of like a fan favorite. Everybody adopted it as part of their holiday tradition. No different than when I was a kid. It was It's a Wonderful Life, A Miracle on 34th Street, or Rudolph. So we're going to go out. We're going to do, I think, 100 shows in 60 cities in 45 days, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
We've got that holiday feeling, that happy holiday feeling. Let's roast chestnuts by the fire.
Jazz singer Jane Monheit gets in the Christmas spirit on her new release, The Merriest. Monheit's second Yuletide album includes her rendition of Ella Fitzgerald's What Are You Doing New Year's Eve. That's Joss Stone singing Stevie Wonder's What Christmas Means to Me. The song comes from Stone's debut holiday music album, Merry Christmas Love. The 16-song set includes a pair of Joss Stone originals alongside Christmas covers and standards. Already putting up Christmas lights in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra's Christmas concert tour stops in New Hampshire this weekend and will be in Newark, New Jersey right after Christmas. To check out all the tour dates and buy tickets, just go to trans-siberian.com/tour. And now that you're in the Christmas spirit, let's get into the giving spirit as well. Earlier in the newscast, we told you about the launch of the Tablet's Bright Christmas campaign, the program which began making Christmas brighter for the less fortunate children of the diocese in the 1960s needs your help. Just make a check out to the Bright Christmas Fund and mail it to Bright Christmas LB number 2118, P.O. Box 95,000, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the zip code 19195. Or you can make your donation online with PayPal or a credit card at thetablet.org/brightchristmas. And that does it for this special edition of Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Happy Thanksgiving.